Test. Okie dokie. Hello, boys and girls. This is Old Man Yells at Cloud for my Blue Powder Monkeys Patreon. I'm back here working on the Norwescon thing again, the evening session. I do about a noonish to 4ish session, and then go smoke a cigar, and then come and do an evening session. Food is involved in there every once in a while. And dry cough is in there every once in a while too, which I've had for 2 or 3 weeks. I'm sure the cigar smoking doesn't help, but that's neither here nor there. All right, so the table of contents page I was working on earlier today, which is the previous video. You can see the art that I'm working on. So far we have, okay, cool. I also, as regular watchers know, not a big headphone fan, but I must listen to music. I have my work playlist on now, which is a lot of movie soundtrack stuff. I have Jean-Michel Jarre's Equinox, which wasn't a movie, but he's a synthesizer artist. I think he's still alive. Which is followed up by the Sorcerer soundtrack from Tangerine Dream. Sorcerer was a 77 or 79 thriller, John Frankenheimer, if I remember correctly, about 4 guys taking unstable nitroglycerin through the jungles of South America somewhere. It was based on Wages of Fear, which is an old French movie with the same plot, which was based on a book called Wages of Fear. So Sorcerer isn't a remake of Wages of Fear as much as it is another version of the book, is the way they wanted to sell it. Spectacular movie that failed. I think Star Wars had just come out, and there was a lot of confusion over the title, Sorcerer, because it doesn't have sorcerers or magic in it. It's a political thriller, essentially, or more like just a kind of a thriller with sort of a political background, but not really that much. One of the trucks is named Sorcerer. So the name was cool, but it doesn't say anything at all about the movie. It's one of those white knuckle, nail bitey kind of like, oh, are they going to explode? Anyway, Tangerine Dream, which was a synth band in the 80s, they're still around actually, but they peaked in the 80s doing a couple of different soundtracks. And the Sorcerer soundtrack, I don't know what it is about it, but I have listened to it more than any other soundtrack I've ever listened to, and that includes the original Star Wars soundtrack, which I had on vinyl in '77 and listened to every day for fucking years. The Sorcerer soundtrack, though, I've honestly heard, I would guess, almost 5,000 times or more. Because, I mean, that soundtrack came out in, let's pretend it came out in '79. Let's even round up to 80. So 80, 90, 2000, 10, 20, 46 years I've been listening to that soundtrack. And I would say on average, conservatively, if I only listened to it 100 times a year, that would be 4,600, and I listen to it more than 100 times a year. So that's next. And then Prisoner soundtrack from Johan Johansson, brilliant film composer who unfortunately cocaine overdosed at the age of like 36 or some shit. His stuff is awesome. And followed up by the Alien soundtrack by Jerry Goldsmith, and Arrival by Johan Johansson again. The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. which is two guys that I can't remember. I feel kind of bad about that. And then I have a double feature of Road to Perdition and Shawshank Redemption, which is Thomas Newman. Thomas Newman is also a great composer. So much better than that dumb Randy Newman or what? No, I'm kidding. The other Newman was the guy that did all the Toy Story movies. Those are pretty good too. Road to Perdition is a film. I can't say it's not even. It's weirdly not even on my top 10, but I've literally done an hour-long lecture on how well it's framed. It was cinematographer was Conrad Hall. I think it was his last movie or pretty close to his last movie. And directed by Sam Menez. And that movie is spectacularly framed. Stars Tom Hanks. It was Robert Redford's it was Paul Newman's last live action role, I'm pretty sure. Jennifer Jason Leigh is in it for a little while. Ciarán Hinds, who's been in a lot of stuff. And actually, it's an early movie with Daniel Craig playing a Chicago guy. So he's got kind of a Chicago-y accent. Anyway. Oh, and the kid in it, whose name I don't remember, grew up and is Superman in the Superman and Lois TV series that's been like 4 or 5. Tyler Hoechlin, I think is his name. But anyway, that's the little kid from Road to Perdition. Brilliant framing, cinematography, and great soundtrack. And then Shawshank Redemption. Don't probably have to talk about that much to anybody that watches movies at all. Both Thomas Newman. And then Ex Machina, which is a couple of dudes. Maybe I can't remember who does that one either, which is a little sad, but that's a good soundtrack. So anyway, I have various lists, but that's the list for tonight. All right. That said, this is one of my least favorite things, which is typing. I do screenplays. I'm actually pretty good at it, but I don't really like typing that much. It's kind of like when I played football. I didn't really like running. But I loved colliding with someone at the end because I played a lot of linebacker. So I'm like, the angles of trigonometry. And I would have to run, but then I would get to like punish someone for making me run. This is sort of self-punishment. I like to write, but then now I have to actually fill in all this nonsense for the table of contents, which also kind of is like, I'm not sure entirely what's going to be in this book. So I'm going to go off of one of the last ones that I did because I can't find that stupid modern one that they gave me. I also don't know whether, I think it'd probably be too much trouble to set up. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if they have some sort of table of content thing that you could do that sort of automatically generates the page numbers. I end up kind of having to do it by hand. I'm sort of used to it, so it's like whatever. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so then we're going to turn all this into, now that I've sort of discovered how to do typography stuff, sort of. I don't know why I have a color grading tab. I don't use that often. And those tools are available in some of the other stuff, but anyway. So this is body text. So there we go. All right, so we know we have the Philip K. Dick Awards. Let's put a gallery here. The word is out to Geneva, whether it's Geneva or Geneva. So I'll get back to you on that when she gets back to me. But what I like to do for artist guests of honor is give them, there's going to be an art gallery with artists from the art show. And some of the artists from the art show are good, and some are less experienced. They're a lot of times beginning artists or artists that have a specific genre that they work well in, like doing fan art or portraity type stuff or whatever, aren't necessarily super. I don't want to say rounded because that sounds like a kind of belittling them. And anybody that does art should, we should all be happy about them doing art. But the artist guest of honor is the artist guest of honor, right? So you want to set them aside, give them a gallery of their own stuff, um, and then have a central gallery or a different gallery somewhere else. In the Worldcon program that I did put it all in one spot. Awesome. And then the artist guest of honor for that was Donato, big fantasy dude. And he does science fiction stuff too, actually, and science stuff. But he's most known for like magic card stuff and fantasy based stuff. I put his stuff at the beginning of the gallery. And then there were a couple of pieces by, oh, I feel bad. I don't remember the dude's name now. Jamie. Oh gosh. But anyway, he did the cover art for the Murderbot series. Gorgeous fucking paintings. And the writer guest of honor for that convention was Martha Wells, who wrote Murderbot. So I got a hold of the guy, got a hold of Jamie and said, hey, can I get a couple of your pieces to kind of throw in here, a couple of the covers? And he was super generous and was like, yeah, do it. So we had Donato, and then we had 2 pieces by him, and then we had 14, 15 pages or whatever it was of the panelists or the people in the art gallery, basically. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing panel descriptions. I actually need to find out about that. Hold on while I do an email. The biggest professional panel members is the biggest pain in the ass because there's a bunch of them, and you want to make it look nice, and you want to have all their pictures next to it and all the rest of that. And there's just tons, takes up tons of space, which is fine. It's kind of what the book is for. But I have found, or I should say, however, or yay, I found a data merge function in Affinity, which sounds awesome. I don't think InDesign has that. At least I never ran across it. And you're able to kind of plug the stuff in. If you set it up in an Excel spreadsheet the correct way, you can just pull it all in and it kind of formats itself in a way. And I'm very much hoping that I'm able to do that this time around, because it'll be a lot of work on the front end, but then it'll be easy on the back end. Anyway, let's see. This Summer Ash, she's the science guest of honor, but Oh, I think that when I see the names, and she probably hates this, but when I see the name Summer, I think of Rick and Morty. So that's what I was bouncing off of here. I had these really nice reading glasses that I bought. I bought like 3 pairs of them, and they were sort of glass lenses, and they're like $30 odd a piece. Nice frames and all that. And of course, over the period of like a year-ish, lost all of them. So now I'm using these drugstore junk ones that are theoretically the right power, but have like fog or kind of scratched up lenses or whatever. It's tariffs. All right. There's no specific reason I'm using the number 44, although 4s do take up a decent amount of space. Uh-oh. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Oh, shoot. Let's see if that works for him. So that is definitely enough space to fit a couple other things in there, which is cool. Hoping people understand spot. It's not, I guess it's technically spot art. I don't know. It's a weird distinction. Spot art traditionally would be like a little tchotchke or something I'd put up here and then do a bunch of stuff around it. And this is just full on fucking pages of art. So see how that goes. Share letter, cool. What will happen next? I did mention I was going to do guest of honor bios, but I think I'm going to do the letter from the chair first. Let's go back to layout. So I figured out I could change the colors of these easier on the page. So honestly, I don't need to create another master page if I want to do different colors. Oh, that was cool. Like, just did it so much faster. Huh. I don't even like that as much. That's more like what InDesign does. Having this, like, I haven't even let go of the thing yet. I've just drug it, and it just was like, yoink, here I go. All right, cool, go. All right, since there's not going to be enough Geneva's art left for the gallery at this rate, but that's how it goes. Want to show as much of it as possible. She doesn't, again, I think I mentioned this in the last video, and it could just be that she does, and it's not on her website, because I'm pulling everything off of her website for the most part. Although, I should check. I think she sent me some extra stuff. A couple extra things anyway. Let's see here. Pillars. Oh yeah, that's pillars. That's pretty good. Oh yeah. Oh, she sent me. Oh no, that's right. I made the little dude. Yeah, she did send me some stuff. I think a lot of it was already on her website. She works, talked about this in the first video. She works overall very vertical. So it's a little, I don't want to say it is kind of harder to find landscape pieces, which is neither here nor there. It's my job to use what I got. So I think, oh, that's right. She sent me a bunch of sketches. That's what it was. Oh, that's cool. Okay. I do really like using sketches for stuff. All right. So now this is the piece that they used on the website. I wasn't involved with the early stages of the process. Which is not me complaining or saying that people did a bad job or whatever. That's not it at all. So there's an early committee right at the end of the previous convention, or about, when they find out who the artist guest of honor is, they go grab a piece and then use that for the website. And that becomes kind of like the piece for the convention until the convention starts and all that. And some people might say, oh, well, they've already used this all over the place, like it's quote unquote overused or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, that's not how good art works. You can use it as much as you want. And what I like is the idea of the letter that comes from the chairman being, to me, it ties it together. So people have seen a different cover. The cover, I use the piece, a larger version of the piece you see on the badge. And so that's brand new. But the letter from the chair, I feel like, should reflect back to kind of like what people are, quote unquote, used to seeing or whatever. Edit document. Oh, I see what happened. There we go. Somewhere in here is the ability. Oh, God, this is not correct. None of this is correct. Oh, this is just for this. Oh, because I'm back on here again. All right, bye-bye. There we go. I'm like, what is going on? I didn't set this thing up at all. Resource manager, that's what it is. Okay, good. I don't want these to be embedded. I want them to be linked. When I get high-res versions from her, I can just title them the same. And then they'll just relink. Whoops. I got a glare right here in the corner from my keyboard light. Can't help it. I feel like Kristen Stewart. I've been keeping my mouth open so much. Just like, already done. Yeah, cool. This one doesn't matter to set to page because both the pages are at the same quote-unquote elevation, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so now some might think centering it is the thing. And a lot of times it is the thing because artists, good artists, have a good sense of proportion and all the rest of that. Oh, nice. All right. Got to answer back, not for the Geneva thing, or the what goes in the program book. So we have, I just realized this, as much as I like this kind of thing based on this thing, that this is a little Christmassy, so I might mess around with it a little bit. All right, so we got a letter from the chair, guests of honor, pro bios, list of artists. Oh, list of dealers. Interesting. Photo. Bump, 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 bump. Okay, cool. Land acknowledgement. Oh, fuck. All right. I shouldn't say oh fuck because that's a good thing, but it's just a thing that happened. try to stay up to date. What happened there? Oh, okay, that's fine. So not to slide too political into things, but as you might suspect, science fiction conventions, fantasy conventions, that kind of thing, cater to what might be called a more sort of liberal or left-leaning user base. And couple this with the fact that this is in Seattle. And couple this with the fact that I'm a grizzly old white guy. And I've been going to this thing forever, and I'm on board. So I try to keep up with as much of the changes that happen in a societal sense, as far as terminologies especially, and that kind of stuff. Over the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, I don't even know, because I missed the whole thing. All of a sudden it was just here. Companies in the Seattle area, Washington area, I don't know if it's happening everywhere else, basically acknowledge a native land that was originally taken back in the day taken by the white dudes and used up or whatever. So stuff basically, or things, events and stuff acknowledge that. It happened to the Seahawk game I was at this year. I live 7 miles or less from like the Puyallup reservation. So I go up to businesses up there all the time. There's a lounge I go up to smoke cigars in, all of that. So but it's new enough to me that I see land acknowledgement. I'm like, the fuck is that for a second? And then I'm like, oh, that's right, the thing. So there's text or something that we'll add there. Let's see here. So letters. Have obituaries. Yeah, in memoriam. Okay. I don't think they have to be in the order she gave them to me. But if they are, I can certainly move the pages around. There's a short list of things that are like the last things you do. And putting the table of content numbers is definitely one of those last things that you do. All right. How's this look? I feel like that's weak, especially with the darker colors I'm using. I'm hesitant to use the orange. There's orange in this, but it's very light. It's accent, almost. Emphasis. I'm also hesitant to use his skin tone, because that's kind of unique as well. Although these browns and kind of mauve-y, purpley colors are super cool. That does not look good big. That happens too. You see this is completely appropriate for the neck shading on the side of this neck. But in a large swatch does not look super good. That's not bad. It's pretty close to, maybe I can change this one up. Nope, that's the rectangle. But again, this is all rest. Yeah, there we go. Oop, shit. Am I going to be able to change this, or is it still locked? Let's just do this and see what happens. Yeah, it's still locked. Do I have it locked? I don't. It's a master page item. Show. Oh, that's right. I had to do a right click or something. there. Master page. Detached. Excellent. Okay. That's how I learn. Just got to do the thing over and over again. What about this nose here? Oh, that's pretty good right there. All right, so let's try reverse. Let's go dark with this one. And light. That one. Okay, I think that works okay. I could almost, in theory, make this blue. This still looks a little, I don't know if something's fooling me, the light or something, but it seems way bluer than this. Huh? Guess that's what it is. I wonder if it's just the light coming off my light. Huh? All right. Let's leave this for now. Part of me wants to do little thin ruler lines as well. Let's try it out. Maybe we won't actually get to the other stuff we were talking about today. That's how it works sometimes. Oh, it doesn't have a line. Oh, I can do this. There we go. They're I know they're technically rectangles as well, but did it just change color? I might have that color thing on my. It shouldn't be like at a specific time though, right? Oh yeah, it's 9:02. The screen sort of changed maybe for nighttime mode. That'll be okay for now. I don't actually have to bring this line back to the bleed line. One of those things I just talked about earlier that I just do for whatever reason. This might be micromanaging a little bit. All right, let's leave that alone. We'll center this down. Yeah, okay, cool. Meanwhile, back at this painting. So, centered, but just check. Let's see if there's anything interesting. More flowers, more blue sky. I think we're okay with the centering this time around. It is amazing, and I learned this, interestingly, primarily from filmmaking. Changing the height of a space even a little bit can dramatically affect things. There's a TV show called Alien Earth that came out. It was created, show ran basically by a guy named Noah Hawley, who's a really good writer. Does really cool shows. Well, for Alien Earth, he decided to do some direction, and give him credit for that. When he got the power to do a thing, and he must have wanted to do the thing, you do the thing. It all made sense, but I don't know what exactly was going on, but there was just some strange, in one of the episodes he directed, the composition was just off. Not to my liking. There were a couple other creative choices I wasn't into either, the jump scares and all that, but you have no idea how much of that is like studio mandated or homage mandated, or I mean, I don't know. But yeah, just moving something like right now, this to me is a little awkward. In the original piece, you can see she left a decent space here, and then I'm like crowding it right up against the thing for the bleed. And it might make me, I don't alter work hardly at all, but it might make me come in here and clone this out. And it's one of those things that artists usually don't notice, although I'm saying it on a public video, so when she watches, she'll be like, the fuck are you doing with my snowflake? Or pollen, sorry, flower petal. But yeah, that is super awkward. Or I just take it back this direction. But then, again, because it's a good composition, it kind of starts messing with stuff up here. So that's not as bad, but then the bleed could end up, if it's cut incorrectly, it could end up leaving like a little speck of white there. So it's quite possible that will go away. What's going on? Why am I not getting my... And there's a little road going on over here, which, you know, it'd be nice to see that other side of the road. That's what she put it there for. That's actually not horrible. Oops. Dunk. There we go. And going to clear masters on this one. Yeah, because we don't need the master page on that, so might as well not make something weird happen with the printing. Now this is going to be interesting because I'm basically going to cover this piece of art. That's the other thing, I guess. that we didn't talk about. Just give me stupid. Didn't even notice. Give me stupid gutters. There's three. There's three. Okay, cool. All right. Normally this letter from the chair, and I can't. Oh, it's Rob. An old buddy of mine from back in the Wizards of the Coast days. Rob Stewart. I think is the chair. So. I want the little intro page in this one. That's cool. All right, so the chair letter. Definitely be titled like the it'll be the convention theme title. Cool. Nice. Okay, that's all set up correctly. Definitely do not want to ignore baseline grids. Baseline grids is life. All right, so what we do want to do. Took me forever to figure out how to use their eyedropper tool. Once I did figure it out, it's pretty good. Okay. Is that not giving me? Weird. Okay. Yeah, these are all the weird little things. Yeah, it's one of those weird things. Don't know how to edit text. Guess I can't edit fill in text. All right, cool. Oh, yeah, just fucking is done. All right, cool. Indent on first line. Okay, cool. So let's do that. Let's do. First one, I do that. The second one, I do that. Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Oh, the other thing that's kind of a bummer. So I can't do different, I can't do this kind of pull down stuff with these. I can only do opacity. Which makes me have to create panels on top of panels. Kind of cool. Super hard to read. Yeah, it's super hard to read. No way you'd use subtract when you could just do a dark thing. Orange isn't horrible for that. Oh, that is bright. Hmm. Ugh. That looks all right. Doesn't work. I like the way it works right here. I don't like the top as much. Trying to see what the YouTube thing looks like. I guess it's a little behind. Whatever. Yeah, that works. Okay, so in the meantime, That's funny. And I can hear myself. All right, so let's mute that. Cool, 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 cool. Okay. So you want things to sorry, I thought I saw a gap there. See how that corner is rounded, but this isn't. It's an easy way to fix that. Doing that. Cool. You want things to line up in general. Gestalt. So for example, like I want these little, soon could be birds or other dragons. Probably other dragons. Whatever they are. They need to be, I don't like a meow, 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 right? And I could just remove this bottom one and I still will debate on that. And this top, then I could do like that, which is where the margin is, but it kind of covers one up. I could do that. Top of the X height. X height is the size of a regular letter without a descender or ascender based on the size of the X. This font has a very high X height. It's a very large percentage. But that also is slightly below this, right? So visually, that looks a little off compared to that kind of thing, even though it's above the margin. And then when you turn this on, you're like, oh, that's pleasing this way. But then that goes down, right? But can cheat it a little. Do something like that, right? I wonder if I could get, so in Illustrator, you can do stuff like this. Oh yeah, that's right. Convert to curves. Bunk. There we go. Look at that. Filter text. There we go. I should be able to edit this. I was confused why I couldn't. So, I can do this, do that, and do that. Cool. All right, I just peeled off an email to suggest if the chairman, the aforementioned Rob Stewart, kept his word count to 500, then this layout works. If he needs to go more than that, then I create another column here. I start eating into the dragon, which isn't as optimal, but I'll make it work. Because he is the chairman. He should be able to say whatever he wants to say. Here. Clock says it's only 10. Oh. That's how I fucked that up. All right, cool. I guess it depends on it's really considered fucked up or not. Yeah, the brighter one. Oh, stop it. Another case where I'm going to creep the margin line a little bit for visual. This. There we go. Plus, it makes this space a little more comfortable, makes it match this a little better. I could actually bump this up. I could bump this to match that by going to right about there. So, or I could lower it. So the thing with design, you had to wait. Oh, I don't have a clock on this thing. Anyway, you had to wait like an hour and 50 odd fucking minutes or whatever it's been to learn one of the most basic lessons of any art. Yeah, something like that. Honestly, any art, but especially graphic design, and where so many graphic designers go wrong. Your shit needs to look intentional. And that sounds vague, but and it can have a lot of different ways that can be executed, but it has to look intentional. You can't look at something and think or wonder if it was intentional or an accident or whatever it is, right? And so that means that your symmetry needs to be symmetrical and your asymmetry needs to be asymmetrical. Not a little bit, a lot. I don't know, whoever of you that might have seen, I think it was yesterday, it might have been the first one. I was dicking around with the badge and I went to the front piece, which I'd already turned in, and there was a tiny little gap that wasn't quite perfect. And my partner is like, no one is ever going to see that. And she's right. but I did. So I had to change it. And it's funny because there's a kind of an old adage with Clint Eastwood, who, well, everyone knows him as an actor. He's also done a lot of directing, and some of it has been less good than others, but the stuff that's good is really good. Clint Eastwood had a thing, and it didn't work. There's a couple times where it failed. There's the infamous Rubber Baby and that sniper movie or whatever, which I didn't see the movie. I just saw the kind of clip for it. But Clint Eastwood only does one or two takes, and he's like, first of all, with the takes thing, you just cast the right person for the role, and you just let them go. But he's like, anything over like 85 to 90%, like we all want to be, a lot of us want to be like perfect, or, we want to do a good job and that kind of thing. But there's a certain point where in normal life, 85 to 90% is perfect, or it's good enough that no one is going to notice, maybe other than people that are specifically trained in that field. And that little badge nudge I did, yeah, maybe there's one of you out there that said you were, you noticed it or whatever. But now, unless you are hyper aware of negative space or trained in design or looking at it with a super critical eye, you're not going to notice it. And neither are the, however, let's say 1,500 members of Norwescon. They're going to pick up that badge and go, cool badge, and they're going to move about their day. And that's the end of it. And at a certain point, you're basically just kind of showing off for other people in the field. Now, this is more of a kind of an art thing, I guess. Because the other thing with art is everyone brings their own shit into art. Meaning I could create something and I could put subtext in it, or I could put text like something really obvious or whatever. But I can't control how every single viewer is going to view that piece of art. I can like guide them in a direction, but they're going to have their own hangups or their own assumptions or their own whatever, just like we do in everything. And it's going to hit people a different way, obviously. Like there are people that are going to look at my design in this book and go, she missed an opportunity to do this, or this is garbage or whatever. And there's people that look at art and they're like, this isn't very good. And other people are like, oh, this is the best thing ever. It's subjective is the word that I'm looking for. So you do what you can, but that's the intentionality. You be as intentionful. you do the thing with as much intention as you can muster. And then after that, the chips just kind of fall where they may, whether or not somebody likes it or whatever. That's different than sports, for example. Sports kind of goes the other direction, right? Where they're like, you got to give 110%. And it's like, of course, you can only give 100% of anything. But, you get up into like, again, I played I played semi-professional football, which is usually dudes that are older. I played against some ex-NFL guys that were like in their 50s that just wanted to keep playing for a little while. Or you get guys that are literally like too dumb to get into college, that have college level skill. And then you just get guys like me that didn't really have a lot, didn't play in college or high school or anything, but just kind of want to play. And I want to be competitive and larger sized physical dude. So I, could kind of keep up with that. Definitely not keep up with everybody, but I could keep up with some people, kind of thing. That is a sport on the professional level in the NFL that you do want to go 100%, because if you go 85%, the margin is so huge. It's people that when you don't understand how speed works, because you just hear things, but you haven't sort of been a part of it or studied it or whatever. They measure these guys and how quickly they run 40-yard dashes. And they'll be like, oh, this guy ran like a 4.7 second 40-yard dash. And this guy ran like a 4.5 40-yard dash. And you're like, oh, that's 0.2. That's not a huge fucking difference. When in fact, it is a huge fucking difference. Like when you get on the field over 40 yards, when you're running that distance or longer or shorter or whatever, that translates into a significant amount of yardage, which in the NFL is one. I mean, one is a significant amount of yardage, but that could translate into 4 or 5 yards of a difference of speed or that kind of thing, right? But in that case though, you're dealing with 32 teams that have 53 players plus injured reserve and all the rest of that. So just take 53 times 32, which I'm not even going to do in my head, but a couple grand, whatever, 1 to 2,000 people. These are the best people at that job on the planet of 9 billion people, right? And there's a bunch of sciencey people out there in conventions and at Norwescon. And there are a bunch of people that are into sports as well in Norwescon. I'm not trying to make some distinction between you can't be sciencey and sportsy, but for those of you that are super sciencey and not sportsy, it's a pretty low percentage. The worst player in the NFL is like significantly better than every other person on the planet to do it. Or at least, the top, the 1,200th guy is quite a bit better than the 3,000th guy and better than the 2,000th guy. And honestly, better than the 1,500 guy for the most part too, or that guy would be playing kind of thing, setting aside contract disputes or age or whatever kind of thing. So anyway, point of all this, when you're doing art, do what you want. Art is creative, and if you're not enjoying your art, find a way to enjoy it or find something else that you do enjoy. And if you enjoy busting your ass, trying to make everything perfect, that's great. But I've seen plenty of people that didn't work out so well. They end up not. The first time I wrote a full-length play, never done it before. It sucked, but I wrote it and produced it and put it on, and everybody was like, the most comments I got were not like this play was awesome or this play sucked, which there was some of that. It was, oh, you actually finished the thing and did it, right? The first time I wrote a screenplay, 120-page screenplay, they're like, oh, you finished a freaking screenplay? And I'm like, yeah. And I've done like 6 now, 7, 8, whatever. Finish things with intention. Anyway, that's my ham-handed lesson for you today. So there is debate in my head whether to do page numbers here. Because I have these cool little page numbers, right? So what I'm going to do is try an experiment. Is that just the page number? It is just the page number. Okay, cool. It's even better. I really love that this just automatically highlights the next thing in a row of things. It's so, you can't imagine how cool that is. What the heck? Is it going above all this shit for? It should be down at the bottom. Does the art have a bunch of stuff? Oh, it's because this is transparent. I wonder. All right, so let's do the little thing we just discovered we could do. Convert. Is it already a circle? Let's find out. Is it already a shape and not a... Or is it a contextual map? textual. Picture frame. Oh, yeah, it says it's already a curve. Okie dokie then. So I should be able to do this. Once I got used to this circle thing, it's actually growing on me. Oh, that's not what I want. My bad. That's what I want. Those I'm going to leave. And this is awkward a little bit. So I'm going to cheat. And only you, my dear watcher, will know. I got to leave the 5 exactly where it's at, or it'll look weird compared to all the other. Is that thing really that weird in that circle? Yeah, it's okay, though. It's going to have to be the way it is. Otherwise, weird shit starts happening. Okay, so then we do here. All right, so we go here. Yeah. 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 And we push down this one, right? Or is it shift? I think it's shift. Nope. Oh, that is awkward. Is this one messed up too that way? Oh, that seems to read pretty well. Oh, did I go in there? Or did I cut this one? I cut it at the end. Okay. Smarter. There. That. 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 Okay. We go all the way down. Come up 1, and we're good. All right. Now this is a case, me having to micro adjust this, where if I had like infinite amount of time, and you know, I'm mostly retired, so I kind of do. So laziness, I would have arranged the baseline text, which are the little lines that the text go onto. I would have had those present when I designed these sidebars. And it's probably too late at this point. I mean, I guess I could adjust them on the master page for the future. I really am only a few pages into this. So let's do that in a second, right after I finish up this little thing here. Squishing that, yeah, but it doesn't matter. Let's do that. Okay, cool. So this is a rabbit hole that definitely happens. Not sure where the baseline grid suddenly made my it disappear here. Interesting. Huh. All right, I don't know what's going on with this thing. So let's go over to, oh, because it's left. There. Okay, so let's start on this side. All right, so now I can look at this stuff and I can go, okay, maybe I want those ends to bounce right in the middle of this text. And see, that's the other thing as well, is I could have set up my leading to match this stuff perfectly as well. So I have to think about that. Leading is the space in between lines. It's set at 14 right now. The text is jumping every other line because it's still set at 14. I don't really like the I don't really like the 2 or the 11 with 13. I like things let it out a little more. Okay, so let's just leave that at 14. And then I have access. I do. Excellent. Okay, cool. This could be considered by some people over 85% effort. Yeah, that groups things together weird too. So So if that's there and there, space. There's also something to be said in making this bigger. What time we got here? Yeah. Okay. I don't remember my basic graphic design, but I feel like if you chop off either the top or the bottom of letters, shoot, people can definitely still read it. I think it's the top, or I can't remember. That's definitely still readable. Okay. It looks pretty good because the anchor, this little anchor to me works pretty well. As does, okay, so that anchor works. This works great. That's not the best. That's not the best. That's chaos. That's chaos. Yeah. I think this is probably going to do it. That's anchored on the top and bottom right there. Well, that's going to be tough because I don't have a vertical thing that it's laid on. Okay. Let's try that. They got broke up. I got broke up. But the most important bit is that. Hmm. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Go up. Oh, shoot. Okay. That's probably going to be an ad anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Okay, cool. Excuse me. What the fuck is this doing? Oh, stuff isn't sitting on the baseline. That's interesting. That is. Why isn't this? Interesting. Holy cow, what a journey. All right. Oh, guess that's not over the top. So that is right on. That's how it works. I'm not an outlining guy when I write. I do sketches when I draw or do comic work. I do storyboards for filmmaking. For design work, though, a lot of times I just kind of figure stuff out as I go along. All right. I think we are good. We're getting late. Plenty more days for this. So thanks for watching, those of you that made it to the end. If you subscribe to the channel and hit the little notification bell, you will get notifications when I go live. Guess it technically helps support the channel, though I don't get any money off the channel, so part of it doesn't matter. Anything I get is from the Blue Powder Monkey Patreon, so the YouTube is just free for all. Anything I put up there. All right. Okay, let's go over here. All right. Thanks again, and we'll see you tomorrow.